Now on Indianapolis This Week, is Reverend Charles Harrison ready to jump into the race for mayor? He's here to talk about the push to get him to run and his vision for the city's future. Plus, the fallout from the state pulling out of that PR contract after the Religious Freedom Act. Our insiders are ready to spark the debate and getting ready for a summer celebration. The head of Indiana Black Expo joins us to talk about the huge events set for this week.
From RTV6, the Indy Channel, this is Indianapolis This Week with Rafael Sanchez.
Thank you for joining us for Indianapolis This Week. You can join us right now on Twitter by going to our account at Indy This Week. We start with the race for mayor, and that deadline just 48 hours away for a key decision in the campaign. That deadline, the one for Reverend Charles Harrison to formally declare if he'll enter the race for mayor. Petitions have been filed to make him eligible to be a candidate, but there are still questions about who was behind the drive, and is it enough to convince him to jump into the race with Republican Chuck Brewer and Democrat Joe Hogsett. Joining us now, the Reverend Charles Harrison. Are you running for mayor?
I don't know yet. I'm still contemplating running for mayor, but I'm getting real close to making a decision, though.
But on this Sunday, you are facing a deadline that's now just a matter of days away. How close are you to making that decision?
I would say within 48 hours of making a decision whether I'm going to run or not.
And you would run as an independent if you decided to run?
Yes, I would run as an independent.
And on this Sunday, you're not ready to tell me whether you're running in a couple of days as an independent for the city of Indianapolis as mayor?
Not ready. Not ready to tell you, no. You
are definitely causing some heartache for the two frontrunners, the Democrat Joe Hogsett, the Republican Chuck Brewer. Are you concerned at all as they're looking at this race? For now, it's just been a two-man race that you're sort of in the middle there somewhere, having not decided yet which way to go.
Well, I'm really not concerned about that on my part. I just think that we need other voices in this race. You know, we're traditionally, people have either voted for the Republican candidate or the Democratic candidate for mayor, and a lot of people are not voting out there because they feel like they don't really have another choice. And I think that if I decide to run for mayor, certainly I'm going to force both candidates to really talk about a lot of the issues that I think are important to a lot of people out there in the city, and push them on some of the statements they have already made about what they would do as mayor of this city, particularly when it comes to jobs, the whole issue of education, and crime.
There is a website now. It's called Run, Reverend Run. There's also petitions were filed on behalf of you a couple of days ago. Are you behind those?
No, I'm not. I'm not behind the petition.
And the website?
No, the website. No, the website. When I made a decision earlier, after my good friend O.J. Williams had decided that he wanted to run for mayor, and then he decided that he didn't at some point, you know, I kind of left the running for mayor piece alone, but people didn't leave it alone. People continued to talk to me about running for mayor. They felt like I had the leadership skills, that I really cared about this community, that I had shown that over the years, my service to the community, both as a local pastor and a community advocate. That support was coming from a variety of people, you know, Republicans, Democrats, independents, libertarians, kept pushing me. You know, everywhere I would go, people would ask me, Reverend, why don't you run for mayor? We think you're the kind of person that can lead this city into the future. So I wasn't surprised that people were still trying to push me to run for mayor.
You are a registered Democrat. There's a concern that if you run as an independent, that you will siphon votes away from the Democratic candidate, Joe Hogsett. In other words, that you could be the spoiler should you run. Are you concerned about that at all?
Well, I'm not concerned, because one of the criteria for me running is, can I win? and I'm not running to be a spoiler. If I run for mayor, I'm running to win. And I'm looking at the path that could lead me to becoming the next mayor of this city. And it somewhat bothers me when I hear people say, you know, you can be a spoiler for the Democrat as if they own those votes. None of us candidates own any particular voter, you know, in this city. I think all of us who run have to earn that vote by what we say and our vision for this city.
You are not a politician. By trade, you are a preacher.
Yes.
So what credentials do you bring to the table should you decide to run in 48 hours? When I call you back and ask you, yes or no, are you running? What credentials do you have to run one of America's largest cities?
Well, I think my leadership skills are strong, and I think I will assemble the best people in this city to become a part of the team to run this city. I've been pastoring for over 30 years, managing churches, and I think I do have the skills of business that I will bring to the table, and I think I am the kind of candidate that will bring people together. I'm not going to be a partisan politician, but I believe that we ought to bring all people together, because whoever the mayor is of this city has to be the mayor of all the citizens of the city, whether they're Democrat, Republican, Independent, Libertarian. And we need somebody in this city, I believe, that can bring all parties together so we can find common ground on a lot of these tough issues that we face as a city, so that we can move forward together and make all of our citizens feel a part of the success of this city.
If you run, will you have to divorce yourself from your faith, because you'll have to be the people's mayor? So
Yes.
will you have to find a way to remove your faith from running the city?
Oh, yeah, certainly in the sense that I would not allow my faith to be the driving force for what I do. I am a Christian, proud of that, but yet I would have to be the mayor of all the people of this city, those who are and those who are not, and those who belong to other religious persuasions.
Reverend Charles Harrison, I'll be calling you in 48 hours.
I know you will.
To find out exactly what you're going to be doing.
Thank you.
Reverend Harrison, thank you so much. You're welcome on this program anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you. Coming up, our insiders talk about the potential impact on the race for mayor, and Lara and Abdul on the state's decision to shut down that PR contract to fix the state's image after the religious freedom fight. You're watching Indianapolis This Week. Back to Indianapolis this week, our roundtable already active with conversation. Lara back. And
if you want to call it that, I guess.
Of course, Abdul Hakim Shabazz with IndyPolitics.org. We just heard from Reverend Charles Harrison. He says in the next 48 hours, he will make a decision. He says he doesn't want to be the spoiler, but would he be the spoiler if he enters this race as an independent?
Well, the only way you consider somebody a spoiler is if you, like the Reverend said, you think you're entitled to their votes. And, you know, last time I checked, nobody owns anything or anybody's vote in this country. All candidates, whether it's Joe Hogsett, Chuck Brewer, Reverend Harrison, if he decides to get in, will have to go out and work for that particular vote.
But he's a Democrat. Does he take away votes from Joe Hogsett, the other Democrat?
I would venture to say that if I were the Republicans, because they're running so far from the crime issue, that he could potentially take votes from them on that, because he has been so out there and so focused on crime prevention. I think that actually, you know, opens the door to that criticism.
There are some reports that Republicans are behind this entire drive in an effort to sort of wedge the Democratic vote. Is there any truth to that, or is that just fantasy talk?
And while we can talk about chemtrails and we can talk about the Fed. I mean, this is a wonderful thing about democracy, is that people can get together, decide they don't like what the current system is doing, and go find a candidate to put on the ballot. Now, who did it? Beats the heck out of me, but apparently they did
it does not beat the heck out of you.
Apparently they did right, and they had the Democrats where they were, you know, going in to try to challenge the signatures until they realized that Reverend Harrison's, whoever got the signatures, had like 500 more than legally required, so they gave up that. So it's probably the Democrats who were more worried about who went out and got him on the ballot than Republicans.
This is Abdul living in fantasy land here.
Any other day of the week?
I was going to say though, but I think what is an interesting component of this discussion, and to me, he sounds like a guy who's running for mayor. I don't think he's going to make a decision in 48 hours. I think the decision is made.
Should they fear him? Should Brewer and Hogsett fear a Reverend Harrison in the race if he is in the race?
I think think the larger issue that's going to happen is Reverend Harrison has a decision to make, and that is, does he come out and does he encourage who is encouraging him to run, to be public about it? How you run your campaign, how you get on the ballot, how you do those things speaks to who you are going to be and how you're going to run your administration. And so far it hasn't been transparent. And so that transparency is really incredibly important, and particularly important at a city of this size.
The other big topic of the week, of course, the fallout from the state canceling its contract with Porter Novelli. That's the company that was supposed to sort of fix our image after the entire RFRA debate. The details of the agreement have not been released. Abdul, will we ever see the contract? Will we ever
well, the contract is actually posted online.
The
details, no, the work.
The issue with the work is actually from the folks I spoke to in the governor's office. Actually, some of it's proprietary information, and there's non-disclosure. And
so is that clause Z that says we will not release any information because proprietary information?
It's actually kind of a standard industry practice when you're dealing with people.
Do you buy the whole argument that this contract was canceled because the state's job numbers are doing better, that the business outlook was better?
No, I don't at all. I don't at all.
Was that a farce?
Well, I think what it is I would say that if you're running for re-election, Mike Pence already, we know from independent polling that Mike Pence is already either neck and neck or down from his Democratic challengers. So if I'm running the governor's campaign, I'm doing tracking polling on a regular basis, and I would imagine that this isn't doing well in their polling. And I imagine that they're not hearing much good stuff from other Hoosiers out there. I mean, anytime you go on Governor Pence's Twitter, when he tweets, the responses are very negative. There are people who are very angry about RFRA. They're very angry at him. So that, I think, was a deflection, and a very, very poor one, because I don't think anybody really thinks we are doing that well. If you ask people, are you doing better than you were 4 years ago, they're probably going to tell you no.
Shouldn't we see what work
You're doing better.
I mean, shouldn't we? Money was spent. Shouldn't we at least see what was done on behalf of the state of Indiana?
I think it is more than fair to ask.
Did we get a billboard?
For the $300-something odd $1,000, what was
$4,000 a day?
Yeah, what was the results that we got?
What do we get for that?
Now, do you necessarily see?
Don't you want to know that? No, don't we all deserve to at least know that?
Yeah. Now, do you need to know the process behind it? Not necessarily if it's confidential, but at the very least, you should see the results.
Right. You should see the work product and what that final work product is.
Yeah, the final work product. Yes. Now, getting to that final.
Do you think we got anything out of that? Did we get a billboard? Did we get a Visit Indiana? Or?
Well, actually, what we found out was Indiana's reputation wasn't all that bad. For example, 24 of the 25 job things that were in the pipeline, 24 of them stayed. The only one that didn't go through was Angie's List.
I think, though, that what it does is we are talking about RFRA. Every time we talk about the Porter Novelli contract, every time we have these discussions, we're talking about RFRA and why we're standing here and why we found ourselves in this place.
Well, great segue, because the Church of the Cannabis, the person behind the group there, Bill Levin, is now filing a lawsuit because he believes that he should be able to use marijuana in church. Is this a bogus lawsuit, or does he really have a claim that will challenge the state's new law?
He actually has, in my opinion, as someone who is an attorney, a legitimate claim, and it can make a legitimate argument against the state of Indiana to use marijuana in the context as part of the sacrament in their church service. Now, this doesn't mean you can drive while getting stoned or, play Pablo Escobar and start drug trafficking, but in the context as a sacrament, I think they make a very serious, legitimate legal argument. Because if you look at what the courts have done over time, particularly with the federal RFRA laws, there have been cases where religious organizations have won the right to use controlled substances as part of their sacrament.
This is not an indigenous group. This is not peyote. I mean, this is not, Native Americans, Potawatomis.
He said, God bless Purdue. I mean, in the story about him, he said, thank God for Purdue, for all of
what will be the future?
But here's the thing, though.
Good stuff he's got.
But the thing is, one of the criticisms has been that, well, these guys just started 2 months ago. Well, you know what? Every major religion had a starting point. Even Jesus himself only had 12 followers in the very beginning.
Let me just stop you on this Sunday. We're not going to equate the Church of Cannabis to Jesus.
No, but I will equate the Church of Cannabis to other religious faiths. You all have to have a starting point.
They have a right to organize, right? This church has a right to organize.
But Abdul's point, though, that Abdul is saying, which I hate to say I'm actually agreeing with you on something.
Are you translating for him now?
I am translating for him. As Abdul's spokesperson and as his ambassador, let me tell you what I think he's trying to say is, again, this is what RFRA is bringing. These are the fruits of RFRA, and whether this is what Mike Pence and the supermajorities thought they were going to get out of it, it's probably not intended consequence.
But they did not, right? I mean, you could say a lot of things, but you don't think the governor really intended for
But this is what happens when you pass a law like
very early on,
that other people can interpret it in this
way.
way.
Early on in the RFRA process, I kept telling my Republican friends, if you're not careful in drafting this law, this is what you could end up with. Terry Curry wrote a letter to lawmakers saying that people could try to use RFRA as a defense, to wife beat or abuse children, saying it's part of their religious practices. I never believed that would happen, but when you get these these smaller issues, kind of like the marijuana and cannabis use, now we're in a whole different ball of wax.
You get the last word.
The Grand Poobah is a master at his own PR, and maybe the state should have given him $365,000.
That's what we call
dig them out of the mess.
That's what we call him the high. We call him the high priest.
The high priest.
The conversation between our insiders continues on Twitter. Check out their Twitter handles and give us your opinion. And stay up to date with Lara, Abdul, Beth, and Jennifer throughout the week. Indianapolis This Week continues after the break. And remember, you can also follow our official account at Indy This Week to join the debate and get the latest in political news 24/7. Back to Indianapolis this week as the city of Indianapolis gets ready to welcome one of the largest events we see every year, the Indiana Black Expo Summer Celebration, an event that could draw as many as 250,000 people to our city. Let's bring in right now the Expo president, Tanya Bell, the CEO of a great organization. The event is so big, they have a booklet, so much to do. What do you think can we expect this year for Summer Celebration?
Well, as normal, we'll kick it off with our business conference. It's all about business, the start of the week.
And that's tomorrow.
Absolutely. And so the mayor's breakfast, the governor's reception, we have a panel with that will talk about thriving in the workforce. And then on Thursday, we'll go into our employment opportunity fair, which is sold out with more than 90 employers.
Wow, okay.
So we really want folks who are looking, absolutely. If you're looking for a job, come on out for that.
You're also focused on health. That's a major component of this expo.
Yes, with our partnership with the health department, this is their 30th anniversary for the InShape Indiana Black and Minority Health Fair, the largest in the world. And one of the things I learned is that we're giving out $1,500 in free screenings this year. It used to be $1,000. So we're very, very excited about that.
So we're keeping up with inflation.
Yes, so folks, come out, get your free screenings for that health fair. And we have the corporate luncheon, as you know, on Friday with a lot of star power. We are announcing
a little breaking news here on this Sunday.
Absolutely, you got some breaking news.
Come on, give it to me.
Derek Luke, who starred in the Antoine Fisher show, if folks know, he will receive the Your Life Matters Award this year, and so very excited to have him, Anthony Anderson, and a lot of other folks on that awards panel. And so we'll go into the weekend with a lot of things in the exhibition hall. Health fair, we have the hair show, the fashion show.
Patti LaBelle. Can I meet Patti LaBelle? Can you just bring her on the set?
Absolutely not. Okay. But very excited to have Patti LaBelle. I mean, I think that is one of the treasures of the weekend is Patti LaBelle. Also,
she was on ABC's Dancing with the Stars, so
there you go.
Our floor is nice. We could, do a little rumba. I'm just saying.
We could try to arrange
You were saying about Patti LaBelle.
Patti, very excited to have her. One of the other big features is we will be honoring Reggie Wayne on the weekend. We have declared that weekend Reggie Wayne weekend for all the work he's done for the community. And then we will also have the Selma to Montgomery exhibit in commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act. And so this will be the last stop for the traveling exhibit. Then we will auction off the prints, and 100% of the dollars from that will go to our scholarship fund.
That's a major issue when we talk about Selma and the issue of civil rights, as we saw on Friday. The Confederate flag being removed from the state grounds, the Capitol grounds in Columbia, South Carolina. So obviously a very poignant time to have them to talk about civil rights.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes, and that's something that we talk about every year, but I think the timing is really there. We'll have AME Church inside sharing the convention center space with us, representing 40 countries. And so, and Sunday's free. Sunday admission to the exhibition hall is free this year. And so, expecting a lot more traffic, a lot more visitors into the city. So we're very excited about
You're part of a big initiative called the Youth Life Matters. Tell me about that, because that's also part of the overall initiatives that the Black Expo was involved with.
Yes, Your Life Matters is an initiative that focuses on African-American males between the ages of 14 through 24, really looking at more of the disconnected youth in our community and making sure that we eliminate barriers that exist. And so we will have our Real Talk Teen Forum will focus on solutions, and we'll hear from the youth. Oftentimes we as adults want to come up with the solutions, but it's an opportunity for us to hear from the youth so that they'll be part part of the conversation.
We are young at heart. We want to hear from the those that are a little bit younger than you and I.
Yes,
just a little bit younger.
Yeah.
So much to do. You have to be exhausted, but you have so many great volunteers that help on summer celebrations. So we want everyone to come out and just have a great time.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yes, absolutely. And we can't do it without them. Yes, we have that book. It's a nice one.
I mean, I have so much to do. I was hoping that maybe Patti LaBelle would sign my book, but here, you give her my book. Can I get an autograph, maybe?
Maybe.
Okay. The president, Tanya Bello of Indiana Black Expo. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
If you're looking for that full list of summer celebration events, dates, times, locations, celebrity performance, including Patti LaBelle, we have you covered. You'll find the link to the list right on our homepage at theindychannel.com, also on the RTV6 app. Indianapolis This Week continues right after this. We're watching several big events this week for you. They include the fundraising reporting deadline for candidates in state and federal races, including governor and U.S. Senate. Numbers that could provide very interesting looks at where the races stand. Stay with our Indy This Week Twitter account to see those as soon as they're available. Plus, Monday morning, U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch is coming to Indianapolis. She'll speak at the annual training conference for the group known as NOBLE, the National Organization for Black Law Enforcement Executives. Will have full coverage for you throughout the day. And of course, the trial of Mark Ray Leonard for murder in the Richmond Hill explosion. Both sides have rested their cases and will now present closing arguments to the jury on Monday. We expect the jury will get the case to begin deliberations on Tuesday. I'll be heading back to South Bend and have full live coverage for you right here on RTV6. Thank you for joining us for Indianapolis This Week and for joining the debate on social media. For all of us here at RTV6, have a great Sunday, and we'll see you next week.